Maplewood was a town draped in autumn hues. The wind carried the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. It seemed idyllic, but a shadow lingered over Maplewood. It stemmed from 13B Maplewood Flat. Locals whispered tales of sudden disappearances and unexplained noises coming from the apartment. 13B remained empty, shunned by all who knew its story. The building itself stood at the edge of town. It was a testament to time, with peeling paint and creaking floorboards. The residents avoided eye contact when passing by. They knew the stories, they felt the chill. 13B was a scar on Maplewood's otherwise charming face. Ria, a young writer seeking inspiration, arrived in Maplewood. She had been struggling with writer's block for months and hoped that a change of scenery would spark her creativity. The small town, with its picturesque streets and serene environment, seemed like the perfect place to find her muse. She was drawn to the town's quaint charm and peaceful ambience. The cobblestone streets, lined with blooming flowers and charming cafes, felt like a scene from one of her novels. It was a stark contrast to the bustling city she had left behind. The locals, however, met her arrival with worry. They whispered among themselves, casting furtive glances in her direction. Ria couldn't help but notice their concerned expressions and the way they seemed to avoid her gaze. They warned her about 13B Maplewood Flat. The old eerie apartment building had a reputation that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest townsfolk. Stories of strange occurrences and unexplained phenomena had circulated for years. Ria, though, dismissed their concerns. She was a rational person, grounded in reality, and didn't believe in ghost stories or superstitions. She smiled politely and assured them she would be fine. She didn't believe in ghost stories. To her, they were just tales spun to entertain or frighten, with no basis in reality. She was more concerned with finding a quiet place to write than with any supposed hauntings. She craved quiet, and 13B, with its cheap rent and isolation, seemed perfect. The apartment was sparsely furnished, but it had a certain charm that appealed to her. The isolation promised the solitude she needed to focus on her writing. Ria unpacked her typewriter and settled into her new abode. She arranged her writing materials meticulously, creating a cozy nook where she could immerse herself in her work. The vintage room, with its high ceilings and large windows, provided the perfect backdrop for her creative endeavors. She felt a strange sense of peace. The quiet of the apartment was a welcome change from the constant noise of the city. She could hear the rustling of leaves outside and the distant chirping of birds, sounds that soothed her frayed nerves. The silence was what she needed. It fueled her creativity. In the stillness, her mind began to wander and ideas flowed freely. She felt inspired in a way she hadn't in months. She started working on her latest novel, a gothic mystery. The eerie atmosphere of the apartment seemed to seep into her writing, adding a layer of authenticity to her story. She wrote late into the night, the clacking of her typewriter the only sound in the room. Little did she know reality was about to intertwine with her fiction. As the days passed, she began to notice strange occurrences. Shadows moved in the corners of her vision. She heard faint whispers in the dead of night. The line between her imagination and reality began to blur, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was not alone. The first few days were uneventful. Ria reveled in the silence of 13B, finding inspiration in the solitude. She would often work late into the night, the only sound the click-clack of her typewriter. But as the days turned into nights, the silence began to shift. It was subtle at first, a floorboard creaking when she knew she was alone. Then came the whispers, faint murmurs that seemed to slither from the walls. Ria tried to ignore them. She told herself it was the old building settling, her imagination playing tricks. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. Driven by curiosity and a growing sense of unease, Ria began to ask questions about 13B. The librarian, Mrs. Hawthorne, hesitated, then reluctantly shared the tragic story. Years ago, a young girl named Mira lived in 13B with her family. One day, Mira vanished without a trace. The police searched everywhere, but Mira was never found. Her disappearance remained a mystery. Some whispered that a malevolent entity resided in 13B. It was said to prey on the innocent, trapping their souls within the apartment walls. Mira, they believed, was its latest victim. Section 5. a presence in the darkness. The story chilled Ria to the bone. Her initial disbelief wavered. The strange occurrences in the apartment took on a sinister meaning. She began to feel a constant presence lurking in the shadows, watching her every move. One evening, Ria saw her, a fleeting glimpse of a young girl with sad eyes peering from her bedroom doorway. The girl vanished as quickly as she appeared. Ria knew then that the stories about Mira were true. She also sensed that Mira wasn't a threat. She was trapped, held captive by something far more sinister. Fear warred, with a strange sense of protectiveness within Ria. She couldn't ignore Mira's plight. She thought about leaving, escaping the horrors of 13B, but something held her back. Perhaps it was the writer in her, drawn to the heart of the story. Or maybe it was something more profound, a sense of responsibility for the lost soul trapped within the apartment walls. Ria decided to stay. She would uncover the truth about Mira's disappearance and confront the entity that held her captive. She owed it to Mira and to herself. Ria delved into the history of 13B. She spent hours at the local library, poring over old newspapers and town records. She learned about a series of unexplained disappearances, all linked to the apartment. Each victim was young and innocent, taken without a trace. The entity, Ria discovered, fed on fear and despair. It trapped its victims in a perpetual state of darkness, their souls unable to find peace. Armed with this knowledge, Ria knew what she had to do. She had to face the entity not with fear, but with courage and compassion. The air crackled with energy as Ria stood in the center of her apartment. The room was filled with an eerie atmosphere, the flickering lights casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. It was as if the very air was alive, charged with an unseen force that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. She spoke to the shadows, her voice firm and unwavering. "I know you're here," she said, her tone steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. "I can feel your presence, but I won't let you control me. I won't let fear dictate my actions." She acknowledged the entity's power, but refused to be controlled by fear. "You have power, yes," she continued, "but so do I. And my power comes from within, from my courage and my will to fight for what is right." She appealed to its humanity, reminding it that even in darkness there was always a flicker of light. "There is light within you too," she said softly, holding up a small glowing orb. "This light represents hope, compassion, and the possibility of redemption. Even in the darkest times, there is always a way to find peace." Slowly, the shadows began to recede. The oppressive darkness that had filled the room started to lift, replaced by a gentle, calming light. It was as if the very essence of the apartment was changing, responding to Ria's unwavering resolve. Mira's form solidified, her once sad eyes filled with gratitude. She had been trapped in the shadows for so long, but now, thanks to Ria's courage and compassion, she was finally free. Her ghostly figure became more defined, her features softening as she looked at Ria with a mixture of relief and appreciation. With a final surge of energy, Ria banished the entity from 13B. The apartment was filled with a brilliant light, banishing the last remnants of darkness. It was a powerful moment, a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of hope. Peace settled over the apartment, a stillness that was no longer unsettling but serene. Mira was free. The once dark and eerie space was now filled with a sense of calm and tranquility. The flickering lights had steadied, casting a warm, inviting glow throughout the room. Her laughter echoed through the rooms one last time before fading into the ether. It was a sound of pure joy, a final farewell that left a lingering sense of happiness and closure. Ria smiled, knowing that she had done the right thing and that peace had finally been restored to her home. Ria moved out of 13B shortly after the incident that had shaken her to her core. The apartment, once a place of comfort and routine, had become a haunting reminder of the inexplicable events that had transpired within its walls. The experience changed her, leaving an indelible mark on her soul. She found herself often lost in thought, reflecting on the strange occurrences and the emotions they had stirred within her. The once vibrant and carefree Ria was now more introspective, her eyes carrying the weight of her newfound knowledge. She continued to write, her stories now imbued with a newfound depth and understanding of the human condition. Her characters were more complex, their struggles more poignant, and their triumphs more meaningful. Writing became her solace, a way to process the events and channel her emotions into something creative and profound. The haunting of 13B became a part of Maplewood's lore. The townspeople whispered about it in hushed tones, sharing tales of the mysterious happenings with a mix of fear and fascination. The apartment stood as a silent witness to the stories that swirled around it, its dark windows hiding the secrets within. The whispers continued, but they were different now. They spoke not just of fear and the unknown, but also of bravery and resilience. The story of 13B evolved, becoming a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of the inexplicable. They spoke of a young woman's courage and a lost soul's redemption. Ria's journey became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is a possibility for light and understanding. Her bravery in confronting the unknown inspired others to face their own fears with a renewed sense of determination. 13B remained empty, but it was no longer a place of fear. The apartment, once shrouded in darkness and mystery, now stood as a beacon of hope. It was a place where the past and present intertwined, where the echoes of old stories mingled with the promise of new beginnings. It was a reminder that even in the darkest corners, hope and compassion could prevail. The light that streamed into the empty rooms was a symbol of the resilience of the human spirit, a testament to the power of hope to dispel even the deepest shadows. The shadow over Maplewood had lifted, replaced by a bittersweet memory and a sense of peace that would endure. The town, once haunted by the mystery of 13B, now embraced the story as a part of its history, a chapter that spoke of courage, redemption, and the enduring power of hope.